Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a massive challenge in the modern workplace, hiring. We're going to break down how artificial intelligence is being designed to not just speed up how we screen resumes, but to do it ethically.
So let's kick things off with a number that probably gives recruiters nightmares. For just one job opening, a company can get literally thousands of applications. It's a huge data problem before you even start thinking about the people.
And that brings up the big question, right? With that kind of volume, how can a human recruiter possibly give every single candidate a fair look? How do they fight off fatigue and the unconscious biases that, let's be honest, we all have? It's a tough spot to be in.
And this really gets to the heart of it. The traditional way of screening resumes is just overwhelmed. And because of that, it can end up being unintentionally unfair. Amazing candidates can easily get lost in the shuffle.
This is where technology is trying to step in. We're talking about an AI recruiting assistant. Think of it as a co-pilot that's built from the ground up to tackle this mountain of data and, most importantly, to do it with fairness baked right into its code.
So what does this AI co-pilot actually do? Let's pop the hood for a second and see how it works its way through all those applications to find the people who really fit the job.
It's a pretty logical process, really. Once all the resumes are uploaded, the AI's first job is to make sense of the chaos. It pulls out the key info like skills and experience. But the real smarts happen in the next step. It matches that data against exactly what the job needs. And it doesn't just stop there. The final step is absolutely crucial. It gives the recruiter a shortlist, sure, but it also explains the why behind every single recommendation.
When you boil it all down, the whole system really has three main goals. First, speed. We're talking about cutting down screening time from weeks to just a few hours. Second, transparency, making sure the AI is never a black box and always explains its reasoning. And the third goal, well, that one's the biggie, it's non-negotiable. A human is always in control and makes the final decision.
This really brings us to the idea of trust. For a recruiter to actually use a tool like this, they have to understand what it's thinking. This isn't about some mysterious algorithm making choices. It's designed to be a completely transparent partnership.
So imagine you're the recruiter. You might see something like this pop up on your screen for a candidate. Simple, clean, a clear signal that this person looks like a good fit. But that's not nearly enough information. See, that top line score is just the headline. The real magic is what comes next. The system tells you why. In this case, it's because the candidate has 5 years of Python experience, which lines up perfectly with a key requirement. There's no mystery, just a clear, data-driven reason.
And then, you've got another layer of transparency which is pretty brilliant, a confidence score. It's basically the AI saying, hey, I'm about 95% sure on this one, or maybe, I'm only 70% sure, you might want to take a closer look. This gives the recruiter a real sense of how to weigh the AI's suggestions.
Okay, let's talk about something huge: privacy. A resume is packed with sensitive, personal information. So any system that touches the stuff has to be built from day one with a deep understanding of privacy and all the complex legal rules.
And you have to remember the legal landscape is totally different depending on where you are. In Europe, you've got GDPR, which gives people the right to know how their data is being used, to fix it, and even to have it erased. In the US, you've got EEOC guidelines that are laser-focused on preventing discrimination. A global AI tool has to handle all of this, all at once. So how does it pull this off? Well, first, everything is encrypted. That's table stakes. But it also does something really clever called data minimization. It automatically strips out info that could create bias and isn't relevant anyway, things like a profile picture or a birthday. And it has a feedback loop, which respects a person's right to make sure their information is accurate.
All right, this brings us to the biggest, most important piece of the puzzle: algorithmic bias. How in the world do you make sure the AI doesn't just copy, or even worse, amplify the human biases that are already floating around in the hiring world? To fix a problem like this, you have to know where it comes from. An AI isn't born biased. It learns from the data we feed it. And, well, our data often has a pretty biased history.
Bias can sneak in from a few different places. The most common one is biased historical data. If a company is always hired from the same 3 universities, the AI might learn to unfairly favor those schools. Bias can also come from a lack of diversity in the data it's trained on, or even from things called proxies, like a zip code that might accidentally correlate with a protected group.
This means developers have to be incredibly proactive. They have to fight bias with specific strategies, like carefully balancing the datasets they use and running tons of fairness tests before the system ever sees the light of day. And it's not a one-and-done thing. They have to constantly monitor the AI to make sure it doesn't drift into unfair patterns. But the ultimate safety net? That's accountability.
And this right here, this is the golden rule. It's the ethical guardrail for this whole process. The AI is an incredibly powerful assistant. It can find great candidates that a human might have missed. But it is a tool. It is not the decision maker. That final, nuanced judgment call always stays with the person.
So that leaves us with a really interesting question to chew on. This idea of a human-AI team, where the AI handles the scale and the human brings the wisdom and empathy, it feels powerful. Could this partnership actually be the future of fair hiring? The potential is definitely there, but it all comes down to getting the ethics right from the very beginning.